Today I am going to tell you guys the story of a lady named Ruth. Okay, so there was a family living in Bethlehem, in the Promised Land. So the dad's name was Elimelech, and the mom's name was Naomi. They had two sons. Um, they are pronounced Mahlan. There we go. Mahlan and Kilian. And they were living happily and everything was going great. But then there was a famine in the Promised Land, in Bethlehem especially. And they were not able to harvest. They were starving. So Elimelech decided, all right, guys, we need to head to somewhere where it's raining, somewhere where they have the ability to grow crops. Now, interesting tidbit for you. Elimelech's name meant God is king. And so his parents named him that for a reason. They believed that God was the true God, the king. And Elimelech did too. And then Naomi, her name meant she is pleasant. She is lovely. So I bet she was a real good wife and a real good mom. So they decided that they needed to head to where there was rain. Well, the place where they, would have been able to go was Moab. Now, you guys have heard about the Moabites and their worship of false gods. In particular, the god that they were worshiping, his name, they called him Chemesh, Chemesh, Chemesh. And so there would have been two different things when you move to Moab. Number one, you know that there's going to be the ability to get food, so you're not going to starve. Pretty important. But they had to be careful. I think you guys know how they had to be careful. They had to be careful that they didn't start worshiping the false god. They needed to make sure that even though they were going to be surrounded by people who believed in false gods, they wanted to stay in the true faith, the God of the Bible. Well, Moab and Naomi did a great job with that. Way to go, Moab. No, not Moab. Elimelech and Naomi did a great job with that. So, way to go. And they had a pretty good life. They were living there for a couple years. However, Elimelech died. And Naomi was left, but she had her two boys. So back in those days, if you were a woman, it was really hard to make a living on your own. Like, you couldn't just go out and get a job. Like, you wouldn't be hired. The guys were the only ones who got to work. So Naomi would have been really, really in a tough position, but she had her two sons, and they were older. They were able to work and provide for the family, provide food and everything they needed. So they were still okay, mourning the loss of their father. And Naomi decided, you know what, it's time for you boys to get married, because that'll help you heal as you deal with your father's death. You can have someone that you love. So the two boys, remember, they were surrounded by Moabites who had believed in false gods. But they found, one of the boys found a lady named Ruth. And the other one found a lady named Orpah, not Oprah. Orpah. And now Ruth, we don't know a whole lot about Orpah, but we do know that Ruth, she was this kind and gentle person, and she was strong-willed, and she was just awesome. And Naomi and the two boys must have been really, really great at putting God first and worshiping him and explaining to these their new wives who he was. And we know for sure that Ruth started to believe in the true God. So she was worshiping the true God. She was learning more and more about him. But then the two boys died. So now Naomi was left without her husband and her sons. And these wives were left without their husbands. And like we just said, if you're a woman living in those times, you're not going to be able to get a job. Maybe few and far between women were able to, but they would basically have to live in poverty and starve and beg for food. So this was a pretty rough position. Now, it had been about 10 years since Naomi had moved from her hometown of Bethlehem to Moab. So Naomi decided, you know what? I got to go back to my homeland. I got to go back to be with my people. There, maybe I can be better taken care of. My life won't be so hard. And she thought about her daughters-in-law, Ruth and Orpah, and she's like, you know what? If they come with me to Bethlehem, the Israelite guys are not really going to want to take them as wives. It's going to be so hard to find husbands for them, just because of the difference of culture. And the Moabites were enemies of the Israelites, if you remember back when there was all that fighting. So, and the difference between the gods. So she was really worried that they weren't going to be able to find husbands, and therefore they were going to, really struggle in life. So she said, okay, Naomi said, Ruth, Orpah, I'm going to head back to my home country, and I want you guys to go home and stay in the land that you are, that you call home. And so back in those days when it was like time to see someone off, like if they were going on a long journey or if they were moving, their loved ones would never say goodbye in the house and be like, bye, see you later. They would actually walk several miles, miles and miles, depending on the person. To be like polite and show them that they cared about them, they would walk with them down the road to wherever they were going. So Ruth and Orpah made that walk with Naomi, and it came to a point where Ruth and Naomi were just not going to let Naomi keep going by herself. They were headed there. But Naomi stopped them. She's like, you guys have to go. You have to find good husbands who will work and bring in money, and then you can keep the house. So they both girls just started crying. They loved their mother-in-law. They loved her so much, and they did not want to leave her because she was getting older, and they would worry about her. So they were like, no, we are going to stick with you. We're going to go. We're going to head to Bethlehem with you. And it's okay if we have to struggle. It's okay if we have to live in poverty. But Naomi was like, I guess she was strong-willed too. Very pleasant, but strong-willed. So she just said, no, I'm standing my ground. You can't come with me. Even though it's going to be hard for me, I want you guys to have good lives. And she said, go back to your people. So Orpah, after crying a lot, she gave Naomi a big hug, gave her a big old kiss on her cheek, and said, okay, I'm going to go back. I love you. God's blessings to you. And she started to head back. But Ruth clung to Naomi, and she said, no way am I leaving you. I am going to stick with you. Where you go, I will go. And your God is my God. I'm not going back to live with people who believe in a false God and who are going to maybe drag my faith away. I want to stay with you. Your God is my God. I am loyal to you and to your God, which is now my God. I'm an Israelite at heart, even though I'm actually a Moabite. So she made this promise to Naomi, and Naomi was like, okay, she's not going anywhere. Let's go, Ruth. So they made the trip back to Bethlehem. It was a long trip. They made the journey, and once they had arrived, it was springtime in Bethlehem, and so it was in April, and the crops were starting to grow. Barley was starting to grow. So the famine was over. There was no more hardship in the land. And so the men were out in the fields. The women were in the marketplace doing their thing. And they were all the women were oh, is that Naomi? She who is pleasant? And who's that with her? And when Naomi got there and she could explain what happened, it had been 10 years now. She looked pretty ragged because she had a pretty tough go with her husband and her kids dying. So Naomi's like, don't call me Naomi anymore. Call me Mara. And the name Mara meant bitter. She's like, God has, taken away my kids, taken away my husband. He's allowed this hardship to come in my life. Don't call me Naomi, not pleasant and love me. Call me Mara, bitter. But I didn't tell you the name, what Ruth meant. And we don't know for sure, but if you look at the original language, Ruth might have meant loyal friend, like friendship. So she was going to stick by Naomi's side, and it was going to be because of Ruth that Naomi's life was going to change for the better. And Ruth was going to become a big deal in the Bible. And you're going to find out later on in our next story video. You're going to find out what happens with Ruth and what she does to make things change for the good. That is the story, my friends, of, oh, you know what? I probably need to do 2 more things. First of all, I should tell you the main point. So you probably gathered, Ruth was this Moabite who came to believe in the true God, and then she stuck with Naomi even during rough time, and she gave up. No, she knew, okay, this is going to mean struggle and poverty for me, and I might even starve, but I'm going to stick with the true God, and I'm going to stick with Naomi, who helped me believe in the true God. So did you notice that Ruth had great faith? The Holy Spirit had really planted a firm faith in her that she was willing to sacrifice a lot in order to stick with the true God. So that is the story today of Ruth's faith.